You're listening to Forward Faster, bite-sized insights for entrepreneurs.
My name's Andy Simon, and today we're here with Matt Foley. So, everyday startups from around Rochester and the Finger Lakes region, they come to NextCorp, and as I mentioned, I'm here today with Matt Foley, who's the Director of Startup Incubation at NextCorp. And thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
So let's get right into it. Matt, what exactly is an incubator, and why are the startups coming here to NextCorp?
That is a good question. So an incubator is essentially a place where people can get services to help grow their business at the very broadest category. It can be anywhere from people that just have a concept for a startup all the way through to they're trying to grow as fast as they can. They've released a product, they have revenue, and they're trying to scale the business as quickly as they can. They come because not only do we provide a place for people to go into, in a community of peers that they can be around, but they also come for services like, access to coaching and entrepreneurs in residence and advisors and mentors, early stage grant funding and connections to capital, you name it. Everything that you need to basically help get your business to the next level. And it's different from an accelerator, which is a finite period of time. When you come into an incubator, you could be here for many years as you're growing your business.
Okay, great. Yeah, thanks for clarifying what the difference between the incubator and the accelerator.
It can be confusing.
A lot of people have those questions.
Yeah.
So knowing what you just said, what type of startups are coming to NextCorp to incubate, and roughly how many are there right now in the program?
So in the incubation program, the program that I run, we have almost 60 startups. The majority of the startups in the program right now are working on some kind of software application. It could be an e-commerce site. It could be a software as a service application. It could be a marketplace. You name it. So most of the startups are working on some kind of or a mobile app. They're working on some kind of software. The rest, we have a mix. We have some food and beverage type of startups that are here. We have some people working on life sciences. Some people working on building physical products. So it's kind of a mix with the rest of them, but the majority right now that's in the incubation program are software.
Okay. Can you give us actually some examples of specific companies? And
Sure. So one startup that's been with us for a very long time is called Caviar.
Know them well.
They're great. They are building essentially a network for creative professionals to get together to share their work, to build portfolios, and also for magazines to be able to collect submissions to their different for their editions, their magazines. So they're growing quickly. That's one example. Let's see. We have Wex Energy. They're working on a product which is essentially an applicant that goes over a window to improve the efficiency. It takes it from essentially what would be a single pane efficiency to double pane without having to replace the windows and go through that whole process, which is very expensive. So those are two. That's one example from a software side and one example from kind of a hardware physical product.
Sure. I think those are actually good examples because they go to my next question, which is, do companies that are in the incubator, do they actually have to physically reside here? Do they have to quit their jobs and move in?
No. In fact, we encourage people to keep their jobs for as long as possible and work part-time until they're ready to make the transition. But we have two types of memberships, broadly speaking. We have the non-resident membership, which is perfect for that example of somebody is working nights and weekends on their business, but they want to be part of a community. They want to have services and support to help grow that business. And they also want to have a place to meet maybe at nights with their team members. So that's the non-residents. Sometimes we call it the associate membership. And then there's resident, which means you are here and you have a desk. You have a desk or in our open co-work space, or you have a small office or a medium-sized office. So it just depends. The services that you get are largely the same. Mm-hmm. It's in your access to the same community. The only difference really is, do we have a physical location or do we not? So
well, you kind of answered this, I think, in all the different questions, but maybe if you could put it into one answer is, you hear of an incubator, you hear of a co-working space, you hear university offerings. What really is the difference? We think of a co-working space between going there versus, say,
Great
coming here to
question.
the incubator?
Yeah, co-working spaces are awesome. Just open co-work kind of places, which we have a number of in Rochester now. They're great for if you're, say, a freelancer and you just need a place to go. You don't want to work out of your home office. You just need a space. That's where a co-working space is going to be appropriate for you. Our model with incubation is a little bit different. We're not the best spot for freelancers that need a desk. Our model is we support and try to help as much as possible people that are trying to grow a scalable startup type of business. And we define that as they're serving a customer that exists outside of the Rochester area, and there is a strong desire to grow. So they have the potential to be and desire to be at least a $10 million business within 5 years. Mm-hmm. Not everybody gets there. It's definitely a goal, but that's who we serve. People trying to build a scalable startup that serves outside of the Rochester area that could be a $10 million business in 5 years.
Being a serial entrepreneur and a founder of multiple software businesses yourself, what actually drew you to come in to work with NextCorps?
For me, it's the community. It's being with peers. In some of my businesses, I have partners, and other ones I don't. It's just really helpful to have a group of people that essentially act as like a sounding board where you can bounce ideas off of other people, get out of your head, and get advice and feedback. Not just from people working on businesses at similar stages to you, which is incredibly helpful, and getting that kind of support, but also from people that have been there, done that. People who are levels ahead of where you are in the entrepreneurial journey. And you can look at them and kind of model their behavior and get advice and feedback from them. That's just incredibly, incredibly helpful. It's again another thing that separates it from just a straight co-working type of space.
So like the CEO
you come for that. We have, as one example, we have the CEO roundtable, which is the startup founders. We get together and we just kind of work through topics like challenges that we each have, and just that's an incredibly helpful exercise for people. And then we do that virtually a little bit as well. So we have a Slack channel where people can get up there and kind of post questions to their peers.
So I'm an entrepreneur. I'm listening to this podcast, or I'm seeing it, and I'm thinking, okay, how do I know if this incubator is a good fit for me? Is there any type of
broadly speaking, if you meet the criteria that I mentioned earlier, so your desire is to build a scalable startup business that could be a decent size in 5 years, that's the first criteria. Sure. If you're a freelance consultant or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I'd check out a co-work space. So that's number one. With that, if you meet that specification, you'd go to our website, apply. That we just kind of get some basic information about your business and what you're trying to work on. And then we have people come in, and I usually talk to them, and then we have people come in and give just a quick pitch, just talking about what they're working on. I would say that we work with founders that are even having selected an idea. So even if you are just kind of like, I really want to build a startup, I don't even know which one, we can help you from that early on stage. You don't actually have to be down the path of executing on a business. We can help you choose and qualify which business is a good idea to work on, and then take you all the way through from growing the business from there and building the product. So,
from a risk perspective, startups, are they able to come in and try it out for a month, or how does that work?
Yes. So we often have, from time to time, we'll do free month offers where people can come in and try out the community. Sometimes it's a standing offer. Sometimes it's more of every once in a while. So it's just a great way to kind of casually see, is this right for me?
Sure.
And try it out and meet some of the other founders and see, and build a peer group. So
sounds good. So switching gears a little bit, you're talking about all the different features and benefits that for coming here. Back to you for a moment. You mentioned why you've come to NextCorps, being a serial entrepreneur, but what inspires you every day to keep doing this?
I think building startups is just incredibly creative. I think it's fun. I love working on the talking to customers, trying to figure out their needs. That's my background, is in customer discovery. So talking to customers, figuring out their needs, building products that really meet those needs that the customers love. I love, especially with software, being able to put something out there and watch people use it is just so cool, and watch them kind of accomplish some sort of task that they couldn't do before as a result of something that I've built. It's just, find it to be. I remember coming across a quote many years ago that was like, entrepreneurs are the artists of the business world, and it's
true.
It's so true. It's just there's something incredibly creative and fun and rewarding about building something and watching people use it around the world. And what I particularly like about software, I'm a little biased here, but is the product is always changing, always evolving. You're always building new things and changing things up. So it's just you're never really done, which is both frustrating and kind of fun because you can always be doing something in the business. So.
Well, that's the art. It's like a painting. You just give up at some point, but with software, you can continue to iterate.
You're iterating and iterating, yeah. Much more difficult for hardware, but for software, that's what I personally find rewarding and what keeps me going.
So this all sounds great. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm listening to this, or I want to be an entrepreneur. And I'm listening to this because it's just exciting. It's passionate. You're an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs out there sitting listening to this. How do they get started? Because that's really, I'm just getting started, and there's this huge barrier, at least in my mind, to going from sitting in my home or my current work and wanting to do something to taking the next step.
Yeah, I would say I'm incredibly biased here, but reach out to us, and the earlier the better. I noticed that the more that we can get people in to talk to us and have some early coaching and mentorship, we can help people get running 100 miles an hour down the right path instead of down the wrong path. So that's number one. But number two is always go into it, I think, with a philosophy of prototyping, and it's a project. You're not trying to validate that your idea is amazing. You're trying to go out and objectively collect feedback from the market to see, is this actually a product that solves a problem and something that people need? And please do not go and drain your 401k and your life savings into building a product without at least talking to us first and making sure that we can get you on the right path. But talking to as many different prospective customers as possible or prospective users to get that kind of feedback before you go and build anything is I think blanket advice, regardless of whether you choose to come to NextCorps and engage with us or not. Please do that.
Very good advice. So definitely. So final question: if we could fast forward 10 years, what do you hope to see for the region and for NextCorps? What do you envision 10 years from now this looking like?
So again, incredibly biased from my perspective, being a software guy, but a much bigger presence of that here. More programs, more services, more meetups, more networking groups. I think just more of everything that we're doing right now that's nascent and emerging, and everybody's really trying. And it's incredible how far it's come from where it was even a few years ago. Sure. A lot of work still left to do, but I think we have tremendous assets as a community and things that we can be leveraging. And it's just a matter of just more accelerators, more people coming into the incubator, more services, more people too that have been successful in business in their own right and startups, helping out. We need the more help that we can get from people in our local community that have had success. We definitely need that as well. We need them involved. So
definitely agree. Well, that's great. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time. I think it was great information. And to anybody out there listening, if you're interested in incubating at NextCorps, you can apply online. It's at nextcorps.org/free-trial. So we'd love to have you fill out an application. It comes right to us, and we'll be reaching out to you right after that.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.